Hello everyone, in this video we are going to cover three things: how to install Tailwind CSS version 4 in a brand new Angular 19 project, how to upgrade an existing Angular project with Tailwind CSS version 3 automatically to Tailwind CSS version 4 with a single command, and finally how to upgrade the same project manually if you prefer more control from Tailwind CSS version 3 to version 4. Let's start by creating a new Angular project. We will use Tailwind CSS, so I'll just select CSS here, and I don't want SSR and SSG. Okay, so Angular project is installed. Now let's install Tailwind CSS version 4 now directly in this new project. So here is the documentation. So we'll first use this command to install the necessary dependencies. And we also have to create this postcss JSON file. So in the root folder, let's create a new file with this name and copy the code that is mentioned in the documentation. So let's save this. I'll close this. Now we have to add the import statement. So it should be in the source styles.css. Here you can paste that command. Now let's run this project. Let's change the content of this home page. So I'll just close this and delete everything. I'll paste some code that I have prepared earlier. It's just two headings, Tailwind version 4 and Angular 19, and then we have some text in paragraphs that I just want to show how to use the Tailwind typography plugin. You can just ignore it for now. So if you have observed in the directory, we don't have the Tailwind config file because Tailwind version 4 uses a CSS first approach, means all the configuration that we want to do that can be done directly in the CSS file. We don't need a separate JavaScript configuration file for that. So that's what we will do now. We will configure this and add some primary colors and then font sizes. Let's see how to configure that. So we have to use the @theme directive, and inside that you can use color. As you can see, the auto completion suggests that, and you can mention the name of the color that you want. I'll mention primary, and I'll also add a secondary color. Then we'll see, like in Tailwind we have different variants for a single color, like red 100, 200, 300, like that. Let's see how to create that kind of color. And then after that we'll specify the name and we'll just enter that shade number. I'll go with 100. Same with the other numbers. I'll just add them like this. So this is how we'll add the colors. Now let's add the font sizes, the custom font sizes. For that we should use text, and then the title, I mean the name of the class. I'll use 4rem for the title, and I also want a hero text, so I'll just use text hero and then specify the size of it and save it. Now let's see if we can add these colors and the text variant in our HTML file. I'll close the sidebar. For the Tailwind version 4 installation, I'll use the title class, text title. As you can see, it is suggesting automatically. And then I want the primary color and save it. And you can see on the left side that it's working. I'll do the same for the Angular 19 text. I want hero text and then secondary color and save it. As you can see, both of these are working. So this is how we will configure in Tailwind CSS version 4. I'll add a link in the description where you can see this syntax and many other items how to configure. I'll add it in the description. Please check that. And now let's see how we can install a plugin in Tailwind version 4. So in the terminal, I'll close this. So this is the command to install the Tailwind typography plugin. So I'll just install this. And after this, in the styles.css, we have to register this plugin. So you can use @plugin and in double quotations, the plugin that you just installed. I'll just copy it. That's it. So this is how we register it. Now we should be able to use this plugin. Let me start the project again. So as you can see here, this is just plain text. We have heading, paragraph, heading to, lists, but it is nothing styled. So the usage of typography plugin is this itself. So let me just add the rows class, and all this should be styled automatically. So this is the use of this plugin, and this is how we just install and register the plugin in Tailwind CSS version 4. I hope that was clear. Now let's move to the next part. Let me create a similar project like this 2 more times, but I will use Tailwind CSS version 3 to get the exact same output using the Tailwind config file, and then we will see how to upgrade it. The first time automatically with a single command, and then the next time manually. Before you start, make sure you have a backup of your project just in case if something goes wrong. And also this upgrade command works only with Node.js version 20 plus. Also, if you are upgrading a large project, some Tailwind classes may behave differently. For example, in version 3, the placeholders were always in gray color, but in version 4, they follow the text of your existing color, but with 50% transparency. This is just an example. I'll leave a link in the description with all the changes. The upgrade command will handle most of them automatically, but it's always good to know what changed. If you upgrade manually, this will not happen. So that is the advantage of using this upgrade command. So majority of the changes that you need to do, this single command already does. So just in case to explain you, so here is a existing Angular project with Tailwind CSS version 3, and if you see the output, it's similar, but I just added the shadow classes to the headings. That's because I want to show you how the class names change after we upgrade. So let me show you the files. As you can see, we have the Tailwind config file. So I've just configured like before. I've added primary, secondary, and brand colors, and then use the font size and install Tailwind typography plugin. Now in the styles.css, we are using Tailwind directives like we should in version 3, and in the app.component.html, let me collapse the sidebar. You can see that I added shadow and shadow to Excel. Remember this shadow on shadow to Excel, because after we upgrade, these classes will automatically change. Of course, we are using a simple project, so I just added 2 classes. So let's upgrade it. If you see in the upgrade guide of Tailwind CSS, here is the command. Let's copy this. I'll create a new terminal and paste this command. Now notice the Tailwind config. This should disappear now once we use this command. So I'll just hit enter. As you can see now, like migrating JavaScript configuration files, templates, style sheets. So we have that configuration file now. It is deleted and automatically converted into the version 4 style configuration. As you can see, we did not write this. We had the Tailwind directives earlier, but now all these are automatically converted. So whatever configuration you did in your Tailwind config file, it is automatically converted and placed in styles.css. And below, if you see, this is something that you have to notice, because in Tailwind version 3, the border color was always gray 200 by default. So in earlier, if you used border colors, and if you want to keep the same color as the border color, you need to keep this. If you remove this, it will be replaced with the new border colors in Tailwind version 4. So that's what this means. And let's see the HTML file if the classes were same or changed. If you remember, it was shadow for the first item and shadow to Excel for the second item. And you can see, instead of shadow, we have shadow SM now, because this is what changed. If you see in the upgrade file, it mentions somewhere. Let me just search. Yeah, you can see shadow SM became shadow XS and shadow became shadow SM. Since we used shadow, it changed to shadow SM, but shadow to Excel stays the same, so that's why it did not change. So I just wanted to prove you that the classes will also automatically change. That's why I added this shadow class. But this will not give us the desired output. Let's start the project. We still have 2 more steps to do, even though it said that 1 command is enough for everything. Let's see what are those 2 things. So now if you see, Tailwind is not being applied, even though we have the new import, all the configuration, still it is not detected because of this post CSS file that we need to create. In the version 3 this project, if you see the package.json, it automatically updated the dependency. So from Tailwind 3.4, this upgrade command upgraded to 4.1.3. However, it was not able to create that post CSS JSON file, so we have to do this manually. So in the root, let's create a new file, and name it with this that is mentioned in the documentation, and copy this code. With this, we'll get a new error because now we have to install this as well, which is not installed earlier. So that's why even if you see now, it doesn't work. So let's delete this terminal, kill this terminal, and let's install the Tailwind CSS post CSS dependency. And now start the project again. Okay, we don't have any errors, and you can see on the left that it is working. So same code, same styling, but now it is using the version 4 of Tailwind, and all the configuration that is automatically migrated using the upgrade command. That's it. We have successfully upgraded this Angular project from Tailwind version 3 to version 4. Now let me open another project with the same Angular project and same UI and with version 3 again. And now we will see how to upgrade it to version 4 manually. So here is another Angular 19 project with Tailwind CSS version 3 installed. Let's double check that. You have the output on the left, and we have this tailwind.config.js file with the same configuration like earlier. And then we have the styles.css with Tailwind directives, that is version 3. And we are using the custom classes that we are created, and it's working fine, as you can see on the left. Now the first thing to do when you are manually upgrading is to uninstall the Tailwind CSS existing one. Actually, you can directly install the new version, but when you try to install version 4, this particular line is not being updated. Everything else, we have the new dependencies, but Tailwind CSS stays 3.4 even if we upgrade it with the version 4 command. So it's better that you uninstall this, otherwise you will get an error and you can install again. That's not a problem. Else, let me show what happens. Sometimes it works, sometimes it will not. Just in case if you get that error, just see this line if it is updated or not, and then you can proceed with the next steps. So you can go to the 4.1 installation page. So you can just use the same command. I'll kill this terminal. I'll paste this Tailwind version 4 installation command from the documentation. Enter. Yeah, as you can see, we don't have this new Tailwind CSS. Let's see the other ones. We have installed Tailwind CSS post CSS, which is installed now. And then we already had post CSS, which is okay. But Tailwind CSS is not upgraded to the 4 version. So that's why I told earlier. So now we will uninstall this. npm uninstall and the package name. And now we will install that again. Same command, but this will install the version 4. As you can see, 4.1.3 is installed now. So those are the first two things that you have to remember. Now we have to configure the Tailwind config file. Unlike the auto upgradation, we have to convert this manually and transfer these configurations to the styles.css file. So let's go to the styles.css, remove these Tailwind directives and add the Tailwind CSS import. And let's change this configuration file. So same, by now you should have understood how to configure in Tailwind CSS version 4. So we have colors and then we have font size. Let me just show you. So we use theme, and then color, primary, and save this. Now you can do the same for the secondary and brand colors. I hope you remember them. I'll just copy paste from the previous code. So it's just this primary, secondary, and then the brand colors. I just converted it manually. Now coming to the text, again we have title and hero. So for that I have to text title, it's 4 rem, and hero with 6 rem. And this is for the classes, I mean the color and text. Now we also have this plugin. I'll copy this and the styles.css at plugin and paste the name of the plugin and save it. So this should be working with respect to configuration. However, we still have another step to do, that is to use the postcss config. So in the documentation, as mentioned like that, we have to create a new file in the root folder with that name and copy this file and paste it here. Copy this code and paste it here. Now this should work. Let's start the project and check if it is working and if there are any issues. npm start. Seems like we have an error. It says it can't resolve the Tailwind typography, but you saw earlier that it was working and we even migrated it. Let's check it if it is in package.json or not. So in the package.json, we have the plugin. Let's double check again. We don't have this semicolon. Let's try that and restart the project. Yeah, now it works. It was a simple thing. I don't think this is the only reason. Generally, if there is no semicolon, it should automatically add one in this CSS file. But yeah, this made this error. Now let's double check if everything is working. So let's go to the HTML file. I'll close the sidebar and terminal. Now, as you can see, this shadow, it is not changed because we are doing it manually. So now you can use small, and if you notice, nothing changed in the UI because shadow is same as shadow SM now. So shadow is equal to shadow SM. Like this, you have to change the class names for every single line in your code. Easier way is to just search for shadow SM probably, and then replace it with shadow XS everywhere, and this would work for some items, but you would not want to do that for an entire project because that might cause some issues if there is a mistake somewhere. So that is a disadvantage of manually upgrading the project, but I think you are clear on the process. We have to uninstall the Tailwind CSS version 3 dependency. Then we have to install as if we are installing the version 4 directly. So we have to use this command, then add a postcss JSON file, and you have to manually configure this Tailwind config file into the styles.css. Now you can actually remove this Tailwind config file and this will not make any difference because now we are using version 4 with the help of this configuration. Let's check if it helps. I'll refresh and you can see that the styling is not disturbed. And as I showed in the previous repository where we had this border color, if you want to change, you can just add that snippet. It's somewhere in this upgrade guide as well. As you can see, this is the command. If you want the same border color as in version 3 in the new version 4, you can just paste this and it will stay the same. So that's it. We have upgraded an existing Angular project from version 3 Tailwind to version 4. So whether you are starting from scratch or upgrading an existing project, you are now ready to use Tailwind CSS version 4 in your Angular projects. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like the video. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions or requests. Thank you for watching.